but we're here today to talk about the federal parliament, and I'm very supportive of Sue and all our other federal candidates. There are 37 federal candidates in the state of Victoria and all around the country, and we're looking for a breakthrough in the seat of Melbourne. It's been close in the last two federal elections. It's only been won by the Labor Party by a whisker, and we hope this year that we will be electing the first ever, in a general election, the first ever Greens to the lower house in the House of Representatives in the federal parliament. And we're also looking for a breakthrough in the Senate, because it's a long time overdue that we had a Green senator. And so I have the great privilege to introduce to you our Senate candidate, Richard D. Natale, our serial Senate candidate. He's actually a serial candidate, not just a serial Senate candidate.
The Australian call it my CV of shame.
But I've had the privilege to work with Richard over many campaigns when he was standing in the state election back in 2002, and I know for sure he's going to make a fantastic senator, and I feel in my bones that he will be a senator after the election on the 21st of August. So it's my great pleasure to introduce to you Richard D. Natale.
Thanks, Sue, and thank you everybody for coming this evening. It's just lovely to be here. I do a lot of these functions, and sometimes you feel a little tired and worn out, but I'm feeling pretty good today. I feel pretty positive, and I'm feeling very proud of the great team we've got here. We've got a terrific team. It's great to be having Sue in the lower house supporting the Senate campaign and giving Michael Danby a real shake-up. I think that's really important. And who knows, this is an area where in the not too distant future we'll be having the same sort of contest that we're having at the moment in the lower house seat of Melbourne. So that's really exciting for me, and what Sue does here and what the rest of you do here will be to give Michael Danby a real shake-up and to build the foundations for what could be a lower house seat in the very near future. So that's exciting. And in Albert Park, running in the state election, she's probably getting a bit nervous right now, because the way things are shaping up, she may give that a real shake as well in a few months' time. And of course, all the great work that Sue's doing. So it's great. It's a great time to be Green. I'm feeling really chuffed with the way things are going, and I just feel really proud about the fact that we're a political party at a time when politics has been completely debased by two leaders who are so intent on making this issue about nothing but personality, almost a content-free election, that we're out there in front and setting the agenda. I mean, we are from the, from our place in the Senate and from campaigns like this right around the country, we're setting the agenda. I mean, that high-speed rail link was a Greens initiative that we put to the Senate only a few months ago and was voted down by the major parties. And now we have an announcement last night from Anthony Albanese on Lateline to say, well, actually, we're going to do what the Greens were saying all along and invest in a feasibility study. Of course, it's only a narrow part of that rail link, and it's in some marginal seats, but it's a start, and it's based on the hard work that the Greens have been doing. So that's exciting. I'm going to steal Scott's thunder. I hope he doesn't mind, but Scott's going to get a chance to say this at a lot of functions, so I'm going to steal his thunder. You're going to say some stuff about other things, I imagine, Scott, so you won't mind, will you? We just heard about the internet filter. Now, up until now, of course, Scott's been doing a mountain of work in the Senate in terms of highlighting the flaws in that legislation that is essentially, a failed piece of public policy for all sorts of reasons. I won't go into them. The obvious reason is it just won't work. It's completely impractical. But the government and Senator Conroy's been pushing that, policy all the way. Only recently announced that they were going to delay it, but still go ahead with it. And for the first time today, we heard the opposition, Joe Hockey apparently, has said that they will vote against the legislation. That legislation is now effectively dead, thanks to the work of the Greens in the Senate. So I think that's exciting, and I think that's great to start. That's only just happened. I mean, look at climate change, another thing people are screaming out. They want action, and we've got two, again, parties, one who thinks climate change is crap, another political party who says, well, you know, there might be a problem, maybe we'll give it to a few people to talk about, and in about 3 years' time before the next election, we could do something about it if, you know, the people over there that we've sort of outsourced our responsibilities to say that it's a good thing to act on. In 2007, this government had a clear mandate. It had a mandate on two things. One was work choices, and the second thing was climate change. And in the space of 2.5 years, they have squandered that mandate. And we've got the Greens, on the other hand, saying, let's put a price on carbon, let's work with you, whether it's a Labor government or a coalition government, let's get a price on carbon as of the 1st of July when the Senate changes over, and let's start making the transition towards what is a jobs-rich, clean economy. It's a positive thing. We should be embracing this. Moving away from polluting industries that are bad for people's health, that are bad for the environment, towards a clean, energy-rich future based on renewable energy, the sun and the wind. And we're at the forefront of that, leading the charge, basically representing what Australian people in this country want us to be moving towards. On the area of refugees and asylum seekers, we have got two political parties who are in a race to the bottom and basically playing the politics of fear on an issue where leadership is required. This is an issue that requires leadership. There's this idea out there that Australian people are fearful of refugees when our past experience shows that in the 1980s, when we had strong leadership and a bipartisan approach, people from Asia were welcomed with open arms and have become hugely productive and valuable members of the community. And we should be doing that right now. We should be standing up with our arms open and saying, we understand that you have had, most of you, and over 90%, let's remember, of people who come to this country by boat will be proven to be genuine refugees, which means they have been through untold suffering, and we need to have compassion in the centre of public policy, not this race to the bottom on issues that are so important. And that's why the Greens are saying, let's actually increase our refugee intake to 20,000 people from the 13,000 it currently stands at. Let's process people onshore in this country. Let's abolish offshore processing, which is a political fix, expensive, and a way of moving the problem out of sight and out of mind. And let's start doing processing people in this country, making sure that they have a maximum of 1 month where they're basically detained purely for the purposes of health and security checks. And then house them in the community while their claims are being processed. Of course, if they're not found to be genuine refugees, then they don't stay. But the vast majority of them, as I said, over 90%, will go on to be really productive people and valuable members of the Australian community. A number of other issues in healthcare, which is an issue I've been campaigning really hard on. We've seen this health reform debate, which is focused almost exclusively on hospitals. It's been about this narrow hospital financing debate. But where's the discussion about health promotion and prevention of illness? I mean, we've come out and we've said, what about a junk food levy so that people who advertise, corporations who advertise junk food and alcoholic beverages pay a small levy which goes towards health promotion and the advertising of healthy food, fruit and veggies, that can't compete with the muscle of those big corporations. Let's stop advertising junk food to young kids. Let's make sure that we start focusing on mental health and expansion of, the Headspace model where we pick up mental health issues early. Making sure we've got universal dental care. We haven't heard dental care mentioned once in this election debate, and yet 500,000 people in this country can't see a dentist because they can't afford it. So they're positive things that the Greens have been talking about, and I'm feeling really proud about the fact that we are the political party in this election campaign that has got a very positive vision of the future, that's demonstrating leadership on all of these key issues, and that is speaking to the values that more and more mainstream Australians care about. And that's terrific. I'm really enjoying that role. It's been reflected in the polls. The recent poll that Sue talked about, 17%. I'm not quite sure I believe that, but we are gaining ground over our stance on all of these issues. In the Senate, it's still going to be a tough contest. I'm up against Stephen Fielding's pretty much done and finished, And as I always say, the best thing that people have when they vote for me is they know they're not voting for Steve Fielding. They get 2 votes for the price of 1 on that one. So, look, it's going to be a battle between the last 2 spots in the Senate ballot paper between 3 candidates, myself, the Labor and Liberal candidate. It's still going to be tough, and we have to make sure that if we're going to win that seat, we have to do all of the simple, straightforward things that win election campaigns. And one of the biggest things is making sure we staff polling booths and we hand out how to vote cards on election day. Now, I suspect you're going to be you'll have fairly good coverage. If you can spare people, let's send them out further afield. People will come in, and you'll find that there'll be a rush towards the end. My plea to all of you here tonight is, if you haven't already committed to staffing a polling booth on August 21, then do it. Make sure you put it in your diary and you do it, because the single biggest thing that increases our vote on election day is people having a how to vote card in their hands. Without that, our vote drops. And if we had have staffed all our polling booths at the last election, I'd probably be a senator and we'd have somebody else standing up trying to get our 2nd senator elected. So it's really important. So it is exciting. I want you all to, remember that we've got a lot of work to do over the next 2 weeks, but also enjoy the fact that you're part of something that I think is really important, and something you can all be proud of, because I'm feeling proud about where we're standing at the moment in terms of the broader sort of political landscape. It's incredibly exciting, and it's just great to be green.